Hey guys, meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you get notified when my latest forecasts come out. All right, let me set the table here. Here's what I'm expecting over the next 7, 8, 9 days. We've got the next storm cycle already lined up with big time accumulation. I've got feet in my forecast for a lot of the west. That western storm cycle, roughly 212, 213, all the way through 217. Though there's going to be one large storm system in a couple of different cold fronts mixed in to the forecast. So there's a few different shots. And the pattern, the trend on this has been kind of wobbling north to south. Will it favor Wyoming, Idaho more, or will it all kind of slip to the south and favor Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico? It's kind of taking that southern wobble now, so I'll show you what that means. And all this action that's going to hit the west is going to go straight to the east, into the Midwest, the East Coast, and the Northeast, and that pattern's loaded. And I've got heavy snow for the Northeast as well, so we're looking really good here. Let me show you my snow timeline. So best odds of snow all the way through the end of the period. And I'll take my camera off here so you can see all the dates. So for example, Big Sky, the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, Interior BC, the Pacific Northwest, Tahoe, and the Northeast. I put on all the dates so you can kind of see and kind of help to plan your, if you're going to go skiing, plan your dates. So for example, in Big Sky, the really heavy stuff doesn't come in until afternoon, evening, 2:13 to 2:15, and again 2:16, 2:18. The Wasatch, it's all afternoon, evening, 2:13 to 2:15 with heavy snow accumulations. That's what the H means, heavy snow accumulation. And the Tetons, the heavy stuff, 2:13 to 2:15 and 2:16, 2:17. In Colorado could be one of my bullseyes with this type of storm track. Anywhere from 2:11 to 2:12 and 2:14 to 2:15. The Pacific Northwest, it's a long, long wait with a dry stretch until we get very late in the period, 2:15 to 2:17, and then the flow starts to shift with that whole storm cycle, that trough moving in. Same for interior BC, you're going to have to wait, but things start to really pick up though late in the period. 2:17, 2:8, 2:16, 2:17, 2:18, you could pick up some moderate accumulations at that point. And in the Northeast, look at that, you have a few different shots of some good time accumulation. So that's all in the forecast. Here's another way of thinking about this. So here's my spider chart. Best odds of snow, more purple, higher on the web, better new snow over the next 7, 8, 9 days. Where is that? That's all of Colorado, especially western and southwest Colorado. That's the Wasatch. That's southern Utah. That's parts of Arizona and Snow Bowl. That's a lot of New Mexico and Taos, Ski Santa Fe, Angel Fire. That's going to be the Sierra at times. And then to a lesser degree, it'll be the Tetons to some degree, but then a little less in Montana, less in Idaho, less in the Pacific Northwest, less in BC, because all that snow will come very late in the period, but it's going to be dry up until that point. In the Northeast, that's absolutely going to be the Northeast. So those are the areas you want to focus on, more purple, higher on the web. We got to talk about the Jetstream forecast. So we'll start this early on Monday, February 10th. Now, when I look at this, I'm looking for the brighter colors because these are winds at Jetstream level up at about 30,000 feet. So the stronger winds are what guide the storm systems around the country. All right, so we'll start early Monday, February 10th. Let's move ahead. So in the flow across the west, you can see these little dips in the jet or openings, these white areas. Those are going to be your little fronts and storm systems. This is early Tuesday, February 11th. There's a couple of those mixed in here. They're not big, but they're flowing through different areas of the west. So they're bringing some light accumulation at times. This is early on Wednesday, February 12th. For example, there's a storm system sliding through Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and clipping parts of Colorado. That moves through, and that becomes a storm system for the east northeast. Here's early Thursday, February 13th. Now, here comes our largest storm system of this cycle. You can see it. It's a sizable dip in the jet. This trough right here on the 14th. This is lunchtime on the 14th. Here's late on the 14th, and look at the size of that. So that moves through a lot of the Intermountain West, and again, a little southern preference, so that pulls the heaviest snow into the Sierra, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, puts everybody else on the northern periphery. Here's early Saturday, February 15th, and then that becomes a sizable storm for the east northeast. And that's not it. There's additional activity coming out of the flow here. So this is late on Monday, February 17th. Look at the storm dropping into the northern tier. That becomes a storm that digs down into Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, even clipping Colorado through the 18th. So the flow stays very active here across the West. All right, let me take you over to snow accumulation over time. So again, we're going to start this on early Monday, February 10th. So the light blues on this correspond to other under 3 inches of accumulation. If you see yellows or greens, 3 to 6, yellows are 6 plus, and reds are 10 plus. All right, moving ahead in time. Here's late Monday, February 10th. So there's one of these small fronts that dives down through Wyoming and down into parts of Utah, especially the Front Range high peaks and the eastern plains down into Denver with light accumulation. There's early Tuesday, February 11th. That storm rolls out into the plains, becomes a storm for the Midwest, the East Coast, and maybe even the Northeast. And look to the west. Here comes the next front down through Wyoming and into Colorado. And here's early and midday on Wednesday, February 12th. So that storm brings some light accumulation, and that one also becomes a storm for the Midwest and the Northeast. Now, all right, now here comes our biggest storm of the period. Look at the Sierra getting nailed with reds. There's late on the 13th. There's early 14th. Storm makes its move into Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico with potentially heavy snow accumulation. There's early Saturday, February 15th. Storm makes its move into the plains, becomes a big storm for the Midwest and the East and the Northeast. Another little trailing area of light snow through the Intermountain there. Um, Late Saturday, early Sunday, and that's some pretty hefty snow for the Northeast. And that's not it. Here comes early Monday, February 17th, another storm system diving in. This is when the Pacific Northwest starts to turn active. We start to see the flow kind of favor that area. See the snow dropping into the Intermountain all the way through lunchtime on February 18th. So it's an active pattern all the way through. All right, here's my official forecast. And this is 210 through 216. We'll start in the Wasatch, 1 to 2 feet of accumulation. A little bit less up in the Tetons, but still 16 to 18. We'll call it 10 to 20, 1 to 2 feet, somewhere in that range. But you're really on the northern periphery, and those numbers could go either way. Looking at California, 1 to 3 feet of accumulation. Pacific Northwest, it's a long wait until late in the period. You can see the numbers pretty light most of the time. They're in interior BC down into Banff, but your numbers will start to pick up late in the period, 16, 17 especially. 3 to 8 through Idaho, pretty light in Montana, 3 to 6. In Colorado, this is one of my bullseyes with 1 to 2 feet generally for most of the resorts and most of the zones, but western and southwest Colorado, some places could push 3 feet of accumulation. Good stuff for northern New Mexico, 1 to 2 feet. And I've got 1 to 2 feet through Bryan Head and also Snowbowl, Arizona. In the Northeast, all the way through the 16th, 1 to 2 feet of accumulation. There might be places that get more, but 1 to 2 feet will cover most places: Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, and New York State. All right, guys, we'll end on the big western map here. It's going to be a great period. We've got a couple of different fronts plus a big storm system embedded in the flow. Appreciate you tuning in here to this On the Snow Before You Go forecast. Take care and have a great day.